Today's session also will be having the same agenda as yesterday. We will be having theory session, task, hands-on, as well as there will be quiz. So please be interactive with me as much as possible, okay? And the interactive person's name will be noted. Make sure of it, okay? Okay, before going into EC2, I want to tell that what is EC2, right? EC2 consists of three things, that is Elastic Compute Cloud, and it is an infrastructure as a service, it is an hosting application, and it is a virtual server. You guys will be having doubt what are these three? This Akash coming and telling these things and all. I'm not understanding itself. Okay, so I'll tell you first what is traditional server and what is EC2. If you come to know the difference between these two things, I think that will be much easier to understand the EC2 concept. Okay, so I said as before, EC2 is an hosting application. Okay, so for hosting an application or website, you need a base, right? Some foundation unit that's called as EC2. So then, what's the difference between traditional server and EC2? I'll tell what is traditional server. Traditional server is nothing but to host something like application or website, you need a platform, and that platform consists of CPU, RAM, network, that is, storage, security, everything is needed, right? In traditional server, everything will be done manually. As in yesterday's session itself, you'll be come to know that in cloud concept itself, you'll be understanding what is capex and opex. That's the same thing here. Everything will be manually done. If manually done means you need more time to configure some instance, some service. If there is any damage in your hardware means you have to rectify it, and it takes more time. You need more workers. So to host a simple website also, you're having these many complications. Okay, so in that case we are moving towards cloud, and that it offers us a service called as EC2, which is called as Elastic Compute Cloud. In Elastic Compute Cloud, the same what I told in traditional server will be combined together, and it will be provided by one service called as EC2. That is, in EC2, what are the things providers called as EBS, ELB, and ASG, AMI, and more things are provided. You will be confused what is EBS, what is ELB, and what is ASG. I'll be telling in a short, and after me, Nandan will be joined to explain everything in detail. EBS is nothing but a storage service which is specifically meant for EC2. That is called as Elastic Block Storage. Okay. And EBL is nothing but it is a load balancing machine, that is which controls your traffic, is called as ELB, that is called as Elastic Load Balancing. Okay, and ASG is nothing but auto scaling group. If your service needs to increase or decrease, you'll be going for auto scaling group. And these three things are meant only for EC2. Okay, so up to this, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. Is there any doubt? Kindly unmute and answer.
No.
No or yes?
No doubts, ma'am.
Yeah, okay, done. So this is about EC2. EC2 is nothing but it is a virtual server which we used for hosting certain applications or websites. Okay, and as I told you, EC2 is a main example for infrastructure as a service. Why it is example for infrastructure as a service? In the sense, you guys know about infrastructure as a service, right? Can anyone unmute and answer what is infrastructure as a service? Anyone? Or I will pick out a
Providing
few.
various resources as a service like computing power or storage, etc.
Is that infrastructure as a service? Are you sure?
As far as I know, I guess.
Yeah, okay. And anyone else?
The tools given in the application.
Come again?
It gives computer resources or internet computing resources.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
like providing storage, cloud computing.
yeah, okay. You guys are answering for EC2 or infrastructure as a service?
Infrastructure.
Infrastructure as a service.
Okay, the main thing is in infrastructure as a service, you guys no need to manage the underlying infrastructures like that hardware, physical properties, networkings. Those things are no need to manage by you guys. Okay, those things are no need to be managed by you. That's an example for EC2. Why? Because in EC2 also you no need to manage the underlying infrastructure, but you'll be having an you'll be having something to modify your settings. Like in phone also you'll be having settings like with settings like in your dependence you will be changing your settings like I need this much storage, I need this much memory, like that you'll be configuring, right? In that case you can configure your OS, you can configure your security, you can configure your storage, everything it can be modified in EC2. These things will be managed by the customer, that is by you, you can be managed. So that's so that only EC2 is an example of infrastructure as a service. Okay, and I'll show you console. Wait. Okay, whether my console is visible.
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
yeah, okay. So this is easy to. I'm not going to launch an EC2, but I'll just explain you what are the things here. Okay, 1 second. Okay, it takes time, I hope so. Okay, now let's move to the next part, EC2 user data. What is EC2 user data? You will be having certain doubts. I told you that you can configure your settings. To launch something, you can configure your settings. But for installing, you can take an example like you are going to host an application. For that application, you need some software like, take it in an example like Apache. You need an Apache to be installed for your application. For that, after launching your EC2 instance, you need to be manually install your Apache. That will be very difficult and that will be taking more steps when you do it manually, right? So in that case, we go for EC2 user data. This is done by using script. We'll give the commands in type of script. Rather than manually installing your software like Apaches or etc., you can write a script in your EC2 instance itself before launching. That will run your script when you launch your EC2 instance. Okay. Can you catch my point? Anyone? Anyone unmute and answer?
Yes, Akka.
Yeah, okay. So why this will run only when your EC2 instance is launched for the first time? Why that statement is given here in the sense? Example, as I said before itself, take Apache as your example. You wrote, you have configured all the thing in your EC2, and you're going to launch it. You successfully launched your EC2 instance, and after launching, your bootstrap will be triggered and it will install the software which you asked for, that is example Apache. It will automatically install. So this is done when your EC2 instance is launched for the first time. Okay, again if you stop your instance, or if you stop your instance and again if you reboot it, it won't again run your again it won't install your Apache. Why? Because it is already installed, right? So again it won't install your Apache. So that's here given as the script is run only once at the instance. Okay, it runs only once, that is executed only at the first boot of your EC2 instance. This is called as EC2 user data. Can you understand what is EC2 user data? Am I making it clear? Anyone?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So now take a scenario that you're going to buy a phone. Okay. So three persons are there. One person is asking that I need a phone which is having more camera quality. So he'll be going and buying iPhone, for example. And another guy is asking, I know it phone clarity should be high. I need the storage only should be high. So one guy will go and buy another type of phone which is having best storage capacity. Okay, And another guy is asking, I no need storage, I no need camera clarity, I need only battery saving should be done in an correct form. So that guy will be going and buying some other phone. Okay, so each and every person is having certain requirements which depends on their needs. Okay, so they will be buying their need which depends on their requirement only. So that's exactly what is instance type. If you are going to create an EC2 instance, you will be having certain requirement which is depend upon your need, that is your application or your websites. Okay, so for your application, you need large storage means you will be taking an instance which is having large storage. And if your application or website is having more memory, needs more memory, that is high performance in memory means you will be going for which instance is having more memory, that you will be going for that instance. So that is called as instance type. Can you understand what is instance type? Anyone?
Iska.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If it's not understanding also, please, it's most welcome. You can just unmute and I can tell me I'm not understanding this part. You can just stop me, okay? Okay. So I'll just tell you what is a naming convention M5.2x large after what I'm explaining each instant type, okay?
Akka, is it possible that you can repeat this instance type alone?
Yeah, sure. I'll just repeat. So as I said you, instant type is nothing but that example I gave before, right? Each person having their requirements depends upon their need. So for example, one person need large storage means he'll be going for the instance which is having large storage capacity, and another person needs more memory capacity means that person will be going for an instance which is having high performance in its memory. Okay, so that's called as instant type. You can modify or you can configure your instant type based upon your requirements. For example, your application needs a best storage means, that is best storage or best memory means you will be going for an instance which is having more storage and which is having more memory. Okay, can you understand? Now it is clear.
Yes, Akka, yes.
That is, in a simple words, we can tell that you can modify your requirements based upon your needs. Okay, you can modify your instance based upon your requirements. And what are the types? There are more many types in EC2 instance. That is general purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, and storage optimized. As I said you, in the name itself, you can understand what is general purpose means. If a person needs everything in a balanced state only, now he no need that its compute capacity should be high and memory should be low. He no need like that. He need its compute, memory, and networking. All the three should be in a very balanced state. Then you can go for general purpose. Okay, can you understand? In which case you'll be using general purpose instance? Can you understand? Anyone?
Yes.
yes, Akka.
Yeah, okay. And in which case we'll be using compute optimized means if you are going to use a large load of your application which needs some large workloads means it needs some high performance, that is it needs some high power to run that application. If your application requires more power to run that, you will be going for compute optimized instance. Okay, keep a note on it. If your application or websites need high power consumption to run that application or website, you will be going for compute optimized. Okay, and what is memory optimized? In the name itself we can understand memory optimized is required for a person who needs that its application need more memory, like he is having an application which requires more and large workloads of data sets or database optimized means you can go for memory optimized. Again, I'll repeat. If your application requires large data sets, that is large database memory means you will be going for memory optimized. Okay, and storage is as simple as that. If your application requires more storage, that is large sets of storage means you will be going for storage optimized instance. Okay, am I making it clear?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, Akka.
So as I said, you'll be having a confusion. What is T2 dot micro? What is T2 dot x large? I'll be telling you. Okay. Here they have given an example M5 dot 2x large. This is a naming for your instance. For example, if you are choosing general purpose, example I'm telling, choosing general purpose means this is your instance. This is your instance type, okay? So your instance type will be specified in that first letter. M is which indicates the instance class. It can be general purpose, it can be storage, it can be compute. It can be anything. The first letter which will indicate the instance class, and the second which is 5, that can be a 5, 3, 2, anything. It depends upon the generation of the AWS which we use, okay? And after the dot, one sentence is there, right? That is 2x large, which is indicates the size of your instance class. Like example, you need only micro level size, means you'll be going for m5 dot micro, or you need some medium, means you'll be going for m5 dot medium. You need large, m5 dot large. You need 2x large, means you'll be going for m5 dot 2x large, okay? So this is a naming convention. And now one important thing in instance type is T2.micro, which is very user friendly for the beginners who are going to who is using the console for the very first time. They will be using, obviously they'll be going for T2.micro. Why especially T2.micro is the sense? T2.micro from the AWS, they are offering free instance class which is T2.micro. In T2.micro, there will be no, you'll be not charged for your services which you are using. It is free of cost, okay? But it's not like in T2.x large, C5D.4x large, these three things, these all the things which you will be charged for the services which you use, right? And it's not like it's not like T2.micro. In T2.micro, you won't be charged, okay? Can you understand? It is free instance class. Now we are going, today you'll be doing a task. For the task also you will be using T2.micro only. You should not use this. When you will be using these things means when you are proficient, or you are going to use more workloads or large workloads, means you will be going for the rest of the instance class. Rather than that, if you are just practicing statements, you can go to T2.micro itself, which is more than enough for you, and it won't be you won't be charged for what you use in that, okay? And now security groups. Everything in AWS needs security. Okay. Likewise, security groups is equal to firewall, which is specifically and it is especially meant for EC2 only. Security groups is especially meant for EC2. Keep a note on it. So in EC2, I'll show you a diagram. Okay. It acts as your virtual firewall. You guys know about firewall, right? Anyone unmute and answer what is firewall? Anyone? Anyone? Or shall I pinpoint?
Traffic filtering.
Yeah, it's correct. Yes. As he said, firewall is not only meant for traffic filtering, and it is a protection. Like it is a layer. For example, in opposite side you're having something, another opposite side you're having another one thing, means that you can keep it as virus. That virus won't attack your service. For that, you'll be protecting something called as firewall. That is called as firewall. As you said, that is correct. It will be filtering your traffic. Okay. So likewise, only for EC2 also there is a virtual firewall which is called as security group. For EC2, you will be having a firewall. It is called a security group. Okay. What is the purpose of security group in EC2 is the sense? It is having two rules: inbound rules and outbound rules. Inbound rule is nothing but it is incoming traffic. For example, you're having EC2 instance on your right side or left side, and on one side, and in another side some traffics are coming. It can be like port 8080 or port 9090. Some type of traffics are coming, but I am writing a rule called as you should allow only port 8080. You should not allow port 9090. Then if the both the things are getting allowed, port 9090 will be stopped at a particular time when it hits a security group, but it's not same for port 8080. Port 8080 will be entering into the EC2 instance. Why? Because I wrote the rule like allow only port 8080, don't allow port 9090. Okay, so this is called as inbound rule. And outbound rule is nothing but the service or anything websites which is going out of the EC2 instance. It is going from your EC2 instance to another internet, sorry, over the internet to or another services. So this is called as inbound and outbound. Security groups are stateful. Why security groups are stateful? So what is the meaning for stateful in the sense? In stateful means it will be having certain rules. We should be providing certain rules for inbound condition. What all the traffic should be allowed. I need to write the inbound rule, but it is not same for outbound. When it is stateful means for outbound rules you no need to write anything. All the thing which are the things inside the EC2 instance, it can be go out of the EC2 instance without any rule itself. But in inbound means you should write the rules, but for outbound you no need to write anything. Okay, I'll repeat. For inbound you have to write certain rules. Okay, it requires certain rules which are the things to enter the EC2. But in outbound means you no need to write anything. It doesn't require any rule. Everything, what all the thing inside the EC2 instance, everything will be go out of EC2 without any restriction. Can you understand? By seeing the picture itself we can understand. See, as I said you port 2020 and again port 2020 is there. One port 22 is authorized and another one is not authorized. So only that green color port 22 is getting inside the EC2, but port red color 22 is just stopped when it hits the security group itself. As I said you, outbound doesn't require anything, any port, it can be any port, it will automatically come out of your EC2 instance without any restrictions. Okay, can you understand? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes, Saka. If you have any doubt up to this you can ask me. Any doubt? Shall I take it as no? Okay, fine. Now, instant connect. Instant connect is nothing but it is just a small term like terminate, stop, or boot, which will be showing in your EC2 dashboard itself. Why we use instant connect means if you need your EC2 instance to be connected to the web browser. Okay, wow. If you need your EC2 instance to be connected to your web browser, you will use option called as instance connect. This connect will be helping you to connect your EC2 instance to the outer web browser. Okay, so this is a small concept. Instance connect is small concept only. To connect your EC2 instance with your browser, you'll be using EC2 connect. Okay, and next, EC2 instance purchasing options. Well, the start of the class itself, you'll be coming to know that the AWS is pay as you go pricing. Okay, so it's like that. EC2 instance is also having certain purchasing options. Like if you want certain purchasing option, I'll be explaining everything. One such thing is EC2 on demand. It is same as pay as you go pricing. On demand in the sense it is same as pay as you go pricing. What all the things you are using for that second, what you use you will be paying. That is called as EC2 on demand. EC2 reserved instance is like it is given that 72% discount when compared to on demand. Why it is 72% discount means in on demand you will be paying for what you are using in the fraction of second itself. It will be charged for your fraction of second. But in reserved instance it is not like that. You will be buying your instant for a specific amount of period. That is, it should be either 1 year or it should be either 3 years. It can be like in simple terms we can tell that it is like an contract. Okay, you'll be having a contract. Like it should, your instance should be buying an instance that should be 1 year or that should be 3 years. Okay, you should not buy for 2 years and all. It is either one or it is three. Okay, so in that case, if you are buying your instance for whole 1 year and 3 year, you can use anything whatever you can use, but you will be paying before itself. So it takes some initial cost, so you no need to pay for what you are using. If you're not using or if you're using high, it comes in the 1 year or 3 year itself. So only it states that it is 72% discount when compared to on demand. Okay, and savings plan is nothing but this is also same as reserved instance, but only one thing which changes is that in reserved instance is not flexible as much as you can do in savings plan. Savings plans is flexible, like you can change after your contract, after you're buying an instance for 1 year or 3 year, you can just change your instance. Like you can change your instance size, you can change your OS, you can change your tenancy, you can change everything after you're buying also in saving plans, but you can't change in your reserved instance like you're changing in savings plans. Okay, can you understand? Anyone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and now going to spot instance. Spot instance is discount for 90 percentage when compared to on demand. Why this is 90% in the sense, you can use your spot instance whenever you can, whenever you need you can use. Okay, but it is not meant for your correct workloads. Like if you're how I can tell you, if you're using an application which is very confidential, like a company is using an application which is very confidential, it shouldn't stop, it should not interrupt, or it should not terminate while you're using itself. In that case, you will not use spot instance, you'll be going for reserved instance or dedicated host or a savings plans. In spot instance, while you're using itself at any time, it will be stopped or it will be terminated. Okay, so in that case only you'll be using spot instance for very less requirement. If your application is only required less, that is, it is not as much as important for me, so I'll go with spot instance itself. That in that case you'll be using spot instance. Okay, why? Because spot instance will be terminated or it will be interrupted at the middle of the time itself. Okay, so that only they have described that not suitable for critical jobs or databases. Okay, and dedicated host and dedicated instance, both are same, only minor difference are there. Difference, what is dedicated host and dedicated instance? Dedicated host is like example, a company is coming, that company needs some database, so it is buying the whole database which is provided. It won't share it to any of that other companies, but it will be sharing within the employees itself. Okay, it won't share its database with another company, but it will be sharing with its own employees. Okay, so that is called as dedicated host. That is, you're full buying the physical server fully, which is meant for that particular company alone, but it can be shared inside the company within the employees, but it's not shared outside the company. That is called as dedicated host. Okay, dedicated instance is not like that. Buying a physical server which is isolated, and it is which is meant only for a particular user, you can't share that physical server to anyone inside your company even. That is only specifically meant for that specific user, is called as dedicated instance. Okay, and capacity reservation is very easy. That is, it is same as on demand, but it doesn't need some commitment, like whenever you need you can create, whenever you need you can cancel. There is no billing discount. As I said, it is same as on demand, but you can create whenever you need or you can cancel whenever you need. That's called as capacity reservation. Can you understand up to this? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Akka.
Eska. Eska.
Okay. So once again, shall I ask you questions? If you're not answering, I'll just ask anyone. Okay. Okay. I'll ask you a question, guys. Mm, who's Veera? Veera, can you unmute?
Yes, Akka.
What is EC2 user data? Make it quick. If you don't know, you can just tell. I don't know.
Don't know, Akka.
Okay. Again, I'll repeat you. Okay. Whether my screen is visible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. This is how your EC2 dashboard will be looking like. Here you'll be giving your name. That name your instance need to be. Any name you can give, and this is called as OS. I said you that you can configure your operating system. If you need some Linux machine, Ubuntu, Microsoft, Red Hat, whichever OS you need, you can just select. This is like template. We will call it as AMI, which will be covered by later by Nandan. And it is called as Amazon machine image, which will be a template for your operating system. You're going to use another operating system in your local machine means you can just create select this any of this like Ubuntu or Microsoft, any of this you can just select and you can use. Okay. And okay. And as I said, you instance type. This is called as here only you will be selecting your instance type. Okay. As I said, you T2.micro is free tier eligible. Okay. Keep a note on it. T2.micro is free tier eligible. You will be not charged for anything. There are many other instance like T2.micro, T2.medium, T2.large, 2x large. It depends upon your requirement. Okay. And networks are there, you can just specify that only. I said right, allow SSH traffic. What are the traffic you need to allow, we can just select from here. And I'll show you the EC2 bootstrap. Yeah, here only you will be writing your script. Okay, here only you will be writing a script. If you need to install Apache server means in this space only you'll be writing a script. After doing everything, you'll be launching your instance and your instance will be launched. Okay, that's it. So I think Nandan can continue.
Yeah. Hello guys, I'm Nandan. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Yeah. Okay. Can we start? Okay, guys. We are going to see EC2 Instance Storage section here. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to see EBS volume. Anyone knows about EBS volume? Here, unmute and answer, guys. Yeah, that's elastic block storage, and it's a part of EC2. Okay. If you create a EC2 instance, then you can attach a EBS volume to it so that it can be used as a data storage machine to store the data and replicates the data in the EC2 instance that you run. Okay. Actually, the EBS is like a volume that you can or hard disk that you can attach to the EC2 instance that you run in your region or availability zone. Okay. Um, the data in the EBS volume can be snapshotted and can be um, replicated to another region, but it's a specific availability zone so that you can be uh, only store the data in a specific availability zone. Okay. Mm, Actually, you can use EBS volume in the free tier also, and that can be a task to you today. Okay. You have to create an EBS volume and attach it to an instance with the EC2 instance. Okay. So that's EBS volume. So it contains network drive, availability zone, and provisioned capacity models. Mm, so yeah, an EBS volume communicates with an instance in the network layer. Okay. So it's maybe a bit of latency because it communicates with the service of a network. Okay. Uh, in the console, you can connect an EBS volume to an EC2 instance with the help of mm, console. Okay. Wait, I just show you. So it's the dashboard of an EC2 resource. Then you scroll down here, Elastic Block Store, right? In the volume section, you can add volume to an existing EC2 instance. Okay, wait a minute. So here, if you launch any EC2 instance, that will be shown here, and you can create volumes in this section. Okay, here create volume, and this is the interface of EBS. Here you can create a volume and add it to a existing EC2 instance. Okay, have you guys understood what I said there just now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So the next one is here's an image of EBS volume that is created in the US East one. Okay. Yeah, single EBS volume is attached to a EC2 instance. This is the EC2 instance, and this is an EBS volume. So the EBS volume is attached to the EC2 instance so that they can share the and store the data in the EC2 instance with the EBS volume. Okay. Okay. Then the EBS can be deleted whenever EC2 instance is terminated or deleted. Okay. But the data in the EBS volume can be uh, retrieved by using some methods. Okay. You can also control the EBS volumes using AWS CLI. Do anyone know about the AWS CLI?
Command line interface.
Yeah, you can also use it by using CLI. Okay. Guys, try to use CLI other than console. Okay. At first, you can use console for the resources creation, but you can. It's better to know the CLI. Okay. Then EBS snapshots. It's just a backup of your EBS volume, and like in real world cases, the chat backup of WhatsApp, something like that. Okay. If you want to back up the data that is stored in the EBS volume, you can use the EBS snapshots. Okay. And you can also detach the EBS volumes whenever you want to take snapshots. It's recommend, but it's not necessary. Okay. And the other specific feature is you can snapshot the copies of data to another region or availability zones from one region to availability zone. Okay. Can you understand the term snapshots?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Then moving on to the features of snapshot. So as I told before, the snapshot means some kind of backup features, and it really gives more details about snapshots like archive, recycle bin, and many more things like. So here archive means move a snapshot to an actual player is 75% cheaper than having the data stored on your EBS volume. Okay, so it's basically an arcade tier. Okay, you can you put the data into an arcade tier and you can retrieve the data within 24 or 72 hours. Okay, then the recycle bin. The recycle bin is used for recover the deleted snapshots that you accidentally deleted while creating or using EBS volumes. Okay, it's like a recycle bin that we uses in our Windows or any other ones, like something like that. Okay, you can specify the retention period from 1 day to 1 year, so that the data can be safely recovered from accidental deletion or something like that. Okay, so up to that, there are any doubts for you from the topics that we covered now? If anyone have doubts, you can unmute and ask me, guys. Okay, are you sure? Okay, so can we go to the next topic? Okay, so next one is AMI. So okay, AMI is Amazon Machine Image, and so the AMI means configuration of the EC2 instance. Like we can customize the operating systems and other software systems to an EC2 instance. By this, you can easily change or customize the EC2 instances that you want. Okay, actually, if you want to run a Linux with some kind of own software or any other third party software, you can use AMI image to customize the EC2 instance that you want to use. Okay, so the AMI can be specifically used for a region and the AMIs can be copied across regions. If a user is in consider if a user is in India and the user in Switzerland wants to use his AMI image, he can copy the AMI image from his region and he can use it in his region to copy the same configuration of the EC2 instances. Okay, so there are three types that you can use AMIs. Yeah, public AMI that can be provided by AWS. So some kind of AMIs that can be provided by AWS and created by AWS that can be used by everyone in the CLI or sorry console. Okay, So then next one is your own AMI. So if you want to create your own AMI, you can create in the console and you can use it for yourself, okay? And the next one is AWS Marketplace, where you can easily purchase or use third-party softwares and creation of other someone else creation, and you can use it full-fledgedly and uh, easily, okay? That's the AWS Marketplace. So I will show you them in the console, okay? So this is the dashboard of AMIs. So currently I don't have any AMI, so that this is empty. You can actually create a AMI if you have any configuration or any other things. You can easily create an AMI in this. And there is a recycle bin that you, if accidentally deleted the AMI that you created, you can recycle the AMI in this section. And this is AMI catalog, where you can purchase the or select the, actually the Amazon Linux is a free AMI that AWS provides. You can select it and create an AMI. Then yeah, there are many AMIs that are available in the AWS, okay? Like Red Hat, Mac OS, Ubuntu, and many other things, okay? Mm. So creation of an AMI process. You have to start an EC2 instance and customize it using the AMI, okay? So creation of AMI will also creates the EBS snapshots. Like I said before, the EBS snapshots are values that are used to back up the data in the EBS volumes, okay? So afterwards you created the AMI, you have to launch the instances from the AMIs, okay? So that's all about the AMI. And so is it understandable, everyone? Please unmute.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any doubts? If you have any doubts, kindly ask me. I will repeat once, okay? Because these sections are merely understandable. So if you understood, then it's okay. But if you can't understand, please ask me. I will repeat once, okay? So no one is replying. Can we go to the next part?
Yes.
So, okay. So EC2 image builder is the automatic creation of virtual machines or container images. Like I said before, you can create the VMs or images for that, but the automation process is called image builder, okay? It can automatically create an images or virtual machines whenever we needed, okay? We can schedule a runtime that are used to create VMs or container images, like weekly or whenever the time packages we are updating, it can create virtual machines or container images, okay? It's a free service, okay? You can use it in free tier, okay? Then moving on to the instance store. So as we saw before, EBS volumes are like network drives, but it have a low bit latency, and the performance of the EC2 ABS volumes are limited, okay, because of the network drives that used in the EBS volumes. If you want high performance volumes or storage, you have to go to the instance store, okay? It's a high performance hard disk that uses the EC2 instance store that can be attached to the EC2 instance, okay? Compared to the EBS, it have better performance, good cache buffer, and temporary content of risk of data loss if hardware fails, okay? And backup and replications are our responsibility in this EC2 instance store. Okay, so then EFS is Elastic File System. So it's a managed file network system that can be mounted on an EC2 instance. Okay, so the NFS can be mounted on hundreds of EC2 instances. Okay, as we see, EBS can be attached to a single EC2 instance, but cannot be attached to multiple EC2 instances. The EFS can be attached to multiple EC2 instances. Okay, and EFS can be highly availability and scalable. So okay, you can use it as much as you can. Okay, but it's very expensive and you have to pay per use of the EFS. Okay, then what's the difference between EFS? As I said before, the EBS can be attached to a single EC2 instance, and the EFS can be attached to the hundreds of multiple EC2 instances. Okay, then in the EFS we have infrequent access. Okay, do you know anything about infrequent access? From that name, can you tell what is that thing? You
Access
can
to
just
only once in a while, only in a
yeah,
long time.
yeah, that's actually correct. Okay. Infrequent access means if you uses a file or any disk rarely or temporarily, you can move it to infrequent access there. Okay, so it's very cost effective compared to the normal EFS storage. And if you have any data in your company and you do not have to uh, consider it for about 30 or 60 days, you can move it to infrequent access tier. Then the retention period of that files may be from their uh, capacity level. Okay, so up to 92% lower cost compared to standard EFS file system. Okay, so it's very cost effective when compared to the standard EFS. Okay. Mm, okay, and it can automatically move your files to infrequent access based on the last time they were accessed. Maybe in some smartphones you can the smartphone maybe tells like this app isn't used for over a month. You can delete it. So based on the things like that, and the files maybe not used for a month or many months, so that they can be moved to the infrequent access, and then you can retrieve that file format using the lifecycle policy, and you can also delete those files. Okay, so the shared responsibility model is very important for all the sections. So maybe Soundarya told about EC2 storage shared responsibility model. For this, the responsibility of AWS is infrastructure. So anyone knows what is infrastructure?
The servers and
Yeah, the physical things, server and some sort of things like that. Okay, the AWS takes care of the infrastructure and replication of data for EBS volumes and EFS drives, replacing faulty hardware and ensuring their employees cannot access your data. So these are the responsibilities of the AWS. Okay, in this section. Okay, so section by section, the responsibilities of the models can be changed, but you have to uh, study all those stuff. Okay, so in the shared responsibility model is actually based on the IAS, PAS, and SAS. Based on that, the shared responsibility model changes to several models and resources. Okay, so in this, the physical hardware, infrastructure, and the data replication and the data security from the employees are managed by AWS, and the user have to backup and snapshot procedures, setting up data encryption, responsibility of any data on the drives, and undertaking the risk of using EC2 Instance Store. So the user responsible for users data protection and their backup snapshots. So they have to concentrate more on their data to protect from the EC2 instance, and they have to undergo the risk of using EC2 instances. Okay, so these are the responsibilities of AWS and the user in the EC2 storage section. So up to this, do you have any doubts regarding this? You can ask if you have any doubts. Okay. Yeah, okay. Can we go to the next part? Yeah, okay. So, okay. So the next one is Amazon FSx. So it's a third-party high-performance file system on AWS. Okay. So like EFS, it's a file management system, but it's fully managed service in AWS. Okay. It's based on the Windows native shared file system. Okay. It runs on the actually specifically for Windows. Okay. It's basically built on the Windows file server and it supports SMB protocol. Do you know SMB protocol? So you guys know about any protocol?
No.
No. Yeah, that's okay. So yeah, protocol is like, do you know HTTP? The link that you may saw whenever you type something like,
Yes.
that's a protocol. And like HTTP, we have many protocols like SMB, HTTP, HTTPS, TCP, and some other protocols. So the Amazon FSx supports the SMB protocol. Okay. So SMB protocol is basically a um, uh, share, file sharing protocol. So we use SMB protocol here actually. So it's a file manageable system, fully manageable system. Okay. So the Amazon FSx is integrated with the Microsoft Active Directory. So the Windows is actually reliable for this FSX and supports only the Windows. Okay, can be and the FSX can be accessed by using AWS or your uh, on-premise infrastructure. Okay, so anyone knows about on-premise infrastructure?
No.
What?
The servers used by the company, their
Yeah,
own.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fine, that's okay. That's the answer. And the servers that can be used by the own company, the servers, the infrastructure that can be owned by the company in their premises is the on-premises infrastructure. Okay. So the Amazon FSx can be accessed by the on-premises and it can even be accessed by the AWS console or CLI. Okay. So FSx for illustrate, the as you see, this is a high performance computing uh, storage section. Okay, so the as of the standard FSX, it has a high performance layer, and the illustrate for is used for using machine learning, analytics, and video processing. So such big activities. Okay, basically the Amazon FSX is used for the big activities like machine learning, AI, video processing, and much big analytics. Okay, so it can be scaled up to 100 GB per second, millions of IOPS sub millisecond latencies. So the latency of the Amazon FSS Latch-Tray is very low. Okay, so it's very fast basically and have high performance than standard. Okay, so as of summary, As we saw before, EBS volumes or network drives attached to the EC2 instances can be mapped to the availability zones and can use EBS snapshots for backups. Okay, so and even the data can be transferred across my availability zones. Okay, and AMI is the image that can be used for EC2 instances. Basically, it's a customization of EC2 instance server. You can use Linux with any software things like that. Okay, that's what AMI is. Then EC2 image builder. As I said before, it automatically creates, build, and distribute the AMIs automatically. Okay, then the EC2 instance store is a high performance hardware disk to our instance, EC2 instance. Like EBS, it's a disk that can be attached to the EC2 instance. But the instance may be the data may be lost whenever we stopped or terminated our EC2 instances. Okay. Then EFS is the network file system that can be attached to hundreds of EC2 in a region. Okay, but EBS cannot be attached to multiple EC2 instances. That can be only mapped to a single EC2 instances. Okay, and infrequent access. If the files or any disk are infrequently accessed, they can be moved to the infrequent access section. And as of the now, the FSX is for the file management, and last is for high performance computing file system, Linux file system. Okay. So, do you have any doubts regarding this section?
No.
Are you sure? Because this is a big section and actually very complex. If anyone have doubts, kindly ask me.
Can you repeat it again?
What?
Can you repeat the last part again?
The last part means summary.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I will tell. Okay. EBS is volume that actually if you have any computer, then you have to add additional space. You have to add hard disk for that. Is that right? If you have a 32 GB memory, you can add another 32 GB memory. Then it can be up to 64 GB, right? Like that, if you have a EC2 instance and you have to attach a volume to that, you can add EBS volumes to that. Okay, and the specialization of EBS volumes, or you can use snapshots. Snapshots means backup. You can actually back up the data in the EBS volumes, and the data can be transferred to another availability zones easily. Okay, that's what EBS volumes are. Then AMI image. AMI is used to customize the EC2 instances, if you have a EC2 instance, you want to create a EC2 instance with your own customization, you can use AMI to create your own customized EC2 instances. Okay. Uh, Wait, I will show an example. So this is the AMI. If you want to use Amazon Linux to your EC2 instance, you can select this with a 64-bit predefined processor. You can use this. Okay. Or if you want to use the Mac OS, you can use this for your AMI. Okay. Like this, you can easily customize your EC2 instance. Okay. Then EC2 image builder. Um, like I said before, it can create images automatically. If you want to create a Linux virtual machine, EC2 image builder can automatically build, test, and distribute the AMIs to your company. So, if you want to create a AMI automatically, you can go to the EC2 image builder and put your customization. Then it can automatically build the AMI, then test it, and delivers it to you to use the customized EC2 image builder. Okay. Then EC2 Instance Store. The EC2 Instance Store is high performance hardware disk attached to our EC2 instance. So instead of using EBS volumes that are actually connected as a network drive, you can use EC2 Instance Store that have high performance than the EBS volume, and very easy to implement compared to the EBS volumes. Okay, so if a EC2 instance store is stopped or the EC2 instance is stopped, the data may be lost due to the termination or stopping of EC2 instances. Okay, so the data and the replication of the data in the EC2 instance store is our responsibility, and we have to take snapshots in the EC2 instance store. Okay, then EFS, network file system. So it's basically a file management system, and the EFS can be attached to hundreds of instances in a region. And like the EBS volume, it's a high performance system, but the EBS volume can be attached to a single instance at a time. But the EFS can be attached to hundreds of EC2 instances in a particular time. Okay. So infrequent access. Infrequent access is for storing the infrequently accessed files. Like if you don't have use a file for 30 to 60 days, you can automatically it switches the files to the infrequent access tier. Then the cost for that storage will be reduced up to 92%. Okay, so it's a cost optimized storage structure in frequent access. Okay, then FSX for Windows. FSX for Windows is a network file system for Windows, and actually it customized for Windows, where you can access it using the on-premises infrastructure, and it can be used from the AWS console or CLI. And actually it's built for Windows servers. Okay, then the FSX cluster is for high performance network file management system, and it's basically built on the Linux file system. Okay, so it's for a high performance file management system. So that's it. Is that okay?
Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Do you have any other doubts regarding this?
Nandan Abdur is asking doubt in
Yeah,
chat.
yeah, Abdul. What is the reason for using EFS? Yeah, okay. So if consider if you use the EBS volumes for the EC2 instances, but the performance of the EBS is very low because it's a network driven disk. Because of that, the latency may be high. Okay, so if you use the EFS instead of EBS in that situation, the performance may be greater than the EBS volumes. Okay, that's the use case of the EFS in this section, and the EFS can be easily attached to hundreds of EC2 instances, but the EBS can be used as attached to the only EC2 instances. Okay, are you okay with that, Abdul? So, Soundarya,
Okay.
so
Sam will ask that
yeah,
how to help me with creating console, right? You better ask your mentor who's
yeah,
assigned to you, okay? And many of asking questions. Nandan, can you answer that?
yeah. Like instead of using one EBS, we can use multiple in EFS. Yeah, we can use multiple instances, EC2 instances in EFS. Okay, not using multiple EFS. We can use multiple EC2 instances in EFS. What is FSX? So FSX is a file management system basically. It can easily manage the files and other things in the instances. Okay.
Okay, Anu.
Okay. How to preserve the data when instance is terminated? You have to snapshot the data whenever you want to terminate the EC2 instance. Okay. So snapshot is basically a backup service. Okay. So differences between EC2 and the EBS. So EC2 is basically a virtual machine that can be hosted by AWS or any other services. Okay. And EBS is a volume attached to the EC2 instance. It's like a hardware whenever your computer wants to add a additional storage, you can add EBS to it. Okay. So that's the difference between EC2 and EBS. Give me example like why do we need multiple EC2 instances? So we are going to learn that part in the auto scaling groups. Okay, I will tell you later. Observe this.
Okay, I have posted the task for today's session. You have to just create EC2 instance specifically with Ubuntu image, and you have to post within the evening session starts. Okay, and you have to mention Menta's name, and Nandan, tell your LinkedIn ID.
Yeah, yeah.
We will just post it in message itself.
So, yeah, okay. We will copy the link of the LinkedIn, then we can tell him message. Okay.
Okay. And any other doubts?
Okay, Soundarya, can I take over now?
Yeah, you can take over.
Hey, Soundarya.
Ah.
Actually, I have portions left in
Oh,
ASD
fine,
and
fine.
yeah.
Yeah, then continue.
Ritik.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Soundarya. அந்த PDF போட்டாங்களான்னு கேக்குறாங்க.
Okay, I'll share in the group. Okay, your
Yeah.
mentors will share with you.
Yeah.
Within today, they will share you. No need to use putty and all. Just create a normal EC2 instance by using AMI called Ubuntu. Okay. No need to use putty.
So okay, can we go to the next part?
Yes, Nandan, you can continue.
Yeah, okay. The next part is elastic load balancing and auto scaling groups. Okay, and so it's basically scalability and high availability. Do you know scalability and high availability? As it's the basic of cloud. If anyone knows, answer. Guys.
Scalability means increasing the size of the computing process needed for the
Yeah,
It's
okay.
capacity of the system.
Yeah, okay, kind of. Yeah, okay, guys.
extending it according to need.
Okay. Kind of. So scalability means if application needs higher you have to handle higher greater loads, you can scale the resources greater or even lower so that it can handle the loads for that application. Okay, that's what scalability means. Okay, so there are two types of scalability like vertical and horizontal scalability. So scalability is linked to high availability. Do you know what is meant by high availability? Guys, try to answer. Anyone knows about high availability? That's okay. We will continue. Okay. So vertical scalability means increasing the size of the instance. Like Soundarya may said before, T2.micro is the small scale for your EC2 instance. And if you want to increase the power of your EC2 instance, you can use T2.large or T2.medium, so that the power of a particular instance can be increased. That's what vertical scalability means. So basically, the power of the instance can tell. Hello, Abdul.
I think you can continue, Nandan. It's time.
Yeah, okay. So the vertical scalability actually means the power of the instance can be upgraded, and it can be easily increase the capacity of the instance. Then moving on to the horizontal scalability, increasing the number of instances. Okay, if a web application is running on 2 instances and then suddenly the traffic may increase, you can easily scale the instances up to 3, and for increasing the capacity of the instances, so that the traffic can be separated into the 3 EC2 instances. That's what horizontal scalability means. Then availability. Whenever high availability takes place, there must be less data loss. Okay. So high level availability is the main concept of cloud computing. So if your application is running in 2 availability zones, and availability zone is attacked in a disaster, then your application will be hosted in another availability zone, so your web application is safe now. Okay, that's what high availability means. Then high availability in and scalability in EC2. So vertical scaling means, as I said before, T2.nano is a configuration of EC2. If you want to vertically scale the EC2 instance, you can use T2.medium or T2.large. Okay. Then horizontal scaling means you can use auto scaling groups and load balancer. We will talk about that later. Okay, what is auto scaling groups and load balancer? So basically, auto scaling group is the um, scaling of EC2 resources based on the traffic or the need for the instance. Okay, load balancer means it can uh, um, separate or balance the load based on the traffic of the web application. Okay, so high availability. So it's basically the same application runs on the different availability zones or regions. Okay, that's what high availability means. Then scalability versus elasticity. Okay, as I said before, scalability is the accommodation of the larger load to a software or hardware based structure. So if you want to adding additionally the EC2 instances, or how to lower the power of the EC2 instances, that what scalability means. The elasticity is if the web application spots more traffic in some time, and you want to elaborate the number of EC2 instances, you can elaborate it automatically. That's what elasticity means. And agility is basically a faster access and deployment of the IT resources. That's what agility means. Then load balancing. Load balancing is a important topic in AWS. So if EC2 instance is running and suddenly the EC2 instance spots heavy internet traffic, if you place the load balancer in that spot, the load balancer can easily sense the traffic to different EC2 instances. Without the load balancer, if the user 1, user 2, and user 3 logins, the traffic directly sends to the first instance, and it may affect the power of the EC2 instance. But here load balancer separates the traffic to the EC2 instance 1, 2, and 3, so that the combination and the balance of the EC2 instance power is balanced. So that's why you use the load balancer. It can spread the load across multiple instances and handle the failures of the EC2 instance. In this case, if EC2 instance, consider if the EC2 instance 2 is affected by a hardware failure, then the load balancer sends the request of the users to the EC2 instance 1 and 3 only. Don't consider the actually don't consider the EC2 instance 2. That's how load balancer works. Then coming to the elastic load balancer, if consider Flipkart. In festival time, the Flipkart may be accessed by many number of users than expected. At that time, if the website wants to allow many of the users to access the website, they may use the elastic load balancer. Means the request can be separated and easily scaled to the number of users. Okay, so that's how elastic load balancer works. So it's basically works on the four kind of balancers like application load balancer, network load balancer, gateway load balancer, and classic load balancer. So application load balancer works on the layer 7. Do you know OSI models and layer 7 layers? Anyone? Guys, reply.
Some stuff like application layer and physical layer,
Yeah,
transportation layer.
that's right. So YSA model consists of 7 layers. So these balancers runs on several layers like application load balancer runs on layer 7, network load balancer runs on layer 4, gateway load balancer runs on layer 3, and the classic load balancer. Actually, it's retired in 2023. After that, we don't have to use classic load balancer. We are going to use application network gateway. Okay. But the classic load balancer runs on for layer 4 and 7. Okay. Then, so the main difference between these load balancers is that application load balancer works on the application level network traffic monitoring, like accessing a web page or some kind of things like that. Network load balancer is controlling your protocol. Okay, it separates the traffic based on your protocols. Okay, then gateway load balancer is like a um, virtual traffic analyzer. Okay, it actually uses for the virtual appliances. Okay, then auto scaling groups. Auto scaling groups is just a simple topic that you can automatically scaling the EC2 instance groups. Okay, if a user runs a company and he wants to add more EC2 instances whenever at the end of the month or whenever more users using the website, he can use auto scaling groups and increase his demand based on the number of users and decrease his demand also. Okay, so it's basically adding or removing EC2 instances in your company. Okay, that's what auto scaling groups is. So auto scaling groups is efficient for cost savings. Okay. So in auto scaling groups, you can automatically resize the EC2 instances. Like in the month end, I want 3 EC2 instances. At the starting of the month, I only want 1 EC2 instance. Like that, we can automatically scaling the resources. Okay. And then dynamic scaling, simple scaling, we are going to trigger some functions like if the CPU percentage of the EC2 instance one greater than 70%, then I have to add 2 more instances. If the CPU percentage of the EC2 instance one is less than 30%, then I have to remove one EC2 instance. That's how the dynamic scaling works. Okay, we can add some functions, then it can be useful to add 2 or 3 instances to that already existing EC2 instance. Okay, so target tracking scaling. If we want to track use of the EC2 instances, we can use that the target tracking scaling. Okay, then scheduled scaling. So we can easily schedule the EC2 instances usage patterns based on the conditions, as I said before, in the month end and the starting of the month. So the summary. So high availability versus scalability, vertical and horizontal versus elasticity. Okay, as I said before, high availability means your data centers or availability zones that your instances are running. Okay, that's what high availability means. Then scalability means you can scale the resources across the regions or zones. Okay, if um, uh, if a user wants to increase the demand of the resources, he can add more EC2 instances to his company. That's how elastic load balancers works. And it have 3 types, like application load balancer, network load balancer, and gateway load balancer. And another one is classic load balancer. So elastic load balancer also supports health. You can check the health of the EC2 instances in the ELB. Then auto scaling groups is what we said before, like it can automatically scale the EC2 resources whenever we want. Okay, that's what auto scaling groups works. Then that's all about the 6th section. Guys, if you have any doubts, you can ask me.
Nandan, is it over?
Yeah.
Then Ritik, you can just continue. And students, if it exceeds for, I think, after 12, it can be extended 10 minutes also. Please be patient and listen. Maximum will wind up the session within 12:10. Okay. So, Ritik, you continue.
Sure. Okay, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, guys. Hi, I'm Ritik from ADS department, institute. So today I'm going to teach you about RDS. Okay, does anyone have know what is RDS? I think yesterday.
Relational database
Relational
service.
database.
Relational database.
Okay.
Relational database.
Uh, Yesterday Sharmila should have given you an intro about database, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, RDS is a relational database service. It's a managed service. We can say it's not serverless actually, but AWS manages most of the things in RDS, like OS provisioning and patching, updating. All those stuffs are managed by AWS. There's no need to do anything manually. Backups as well is done by AWS. From time to time, AWS takes backups automatically, so there is no need to do anything other than managing your application. So it's RDS is a managed service. Don't get me wrong, it's not a serverless but managed. There's a difference there. We use SQL query language. SQL as a query language for our database, RDS database. When you create an RDS database, it will ask you to mention which database you have to use, like Postgres, MySQL, Oracle, and all those stuffs. I will show you the console later. But first of all, let me tell again, RDS is a relational database service. It's managed by AWS, and we use SQL for query language. And you can, it allows you to create databases like Postgres, MySQL, and Oracle, and all those stuffs that's mentioned here. Next, we can see about the advantages of using RDS versus deploying database on EC2. Okay, so when you deploy a database on EC2, there are some disadvantages. Like we can say we have to manually collect backups. We have to manually update the database, OS patching, and all those stuff should be done manually by us. And we have to monitor. We have to deploy read replicas and all. It will be a bit tough. But when you do it in RDS, it's everything is done by AWS. We can say here it's a managed service, automated provisioning, OS patching is all done by AWS. There's no need for you to do those OS patching and all those. There is no need for you to provision those stuffs. Next, continuous backups and restore to specific timestamp. AWS, like let's say from time to time, AWS takes backups and stores those backups as a timestamp. Like in the time in backup இருக்கும் அந்த மாதிரி ஓகேவா. Next, monitoring dashboards. We can use dashboards to monitor those stuff. We can use read replicas for improved read performance. Like let's say my application has a lot of traffic for read. At that time, I can use RDS read replicas to reduce those loads. We will see about read replicas later in this part. There is multi available zone setup for disaster recovery, and I will tell you about those steps later. Okay. So maintenance windows for updates. What is maintenance window is like let's say we are specifying a time period when AWS should update or maintain our database. Let's say my database is running right now, and when AWS is there for maintenance purpose, there will be some performance issues in your database. So we will mention a time period when there will be low traffic, when our database is not when our database will not have more traffic. So at that time, AWS will do all those maintenance stuffs. So there will not be any performance issues in your database. We can use scaling capabilities both vertically and horizontally, and you can use EBS for backups. The storage is backed by EBS. Okay, so you can't, and another thing is you can't use SSH into your instances. If you are deploying your database in EC2, you can SSH into EC2 and you can access your database, but in RDS you can't do that. Up to this, is there any doubt, like the managed services and all those stuffs? Okay, I think there's no doubt here. So let's go to RDS storage auto scaling. What I think you have already learned about auto scaling, right? For EC2 and stuff. Can anyone tell me what auto scaling is? Guys?
Increase the computing power or storage capabilities depending on need.
Okay, that's correct. So in RDS auto scaling, what it does is it increases your storage capacity. As you can see here, it helps you increase the storage on RDS database instance dynamically. By dynamic, what's dynamically means when needed, it will increase your storage capacity when needed. Okay, so RDS detects your run, like if your application is running with an RDS database supporting it, when your RDS database runs out of storage, or if the storage is reducing or something like that, or if there is something to be modified in your RDS database, auto scaling detects that, and it will automatically scale up or down depending on that. Avoid manual scaling. It will reduce your manual workload of scaling the database, and you have a maximum. You have to set a maximum threshold. As you can see here, you have to set a maximum threshold. Like this is my limit, maximum limit. My auto scaling should not increase my database storage more than this limit. So you have to set that. If not, it might just go increasing and you have to pay a lot of money. So make sure you set a threshold value. And as I said, right, it automates dynamically. So how it does is free storage. If there is a free storage of less than 10% allocated, these 10% are all mentioned by us. We can use 5% or 20%. That's up to us. So if I'm setting a rule that my auto scaling should increase my database storage when the threshold, when the storage is less than 10%, or if the low storage lasts for 5 minutes, 6 hours have passed since last modification. These are all rules set by the user, like by us. So when these rules are true, auto scaling will automatically increase or decrease our storage based on the rules. Okay. And why it is used for? Actually, auto scaling is used when we don't know how the workload will be in our application. We might not know when or when our traffic will increase or when it will decrease. So at that times we use auto scaling to manage those traffics. It also auto scaling also supports all RDS database engines. Database engines is nothing but the thing we have seen before: Postgres, MySQL, Oracle, Aurora, all those stuffs are my RDS engines. When you create an RDS database, you have to mention which one you have to use. So let's see. I will go to my console and show you guys. So when you open your console, this will be here. Create a database. Okay. So you can see a standard and the easy create. Standard is you have to do all those manual configurations by yourself, like how much storage I need or all those. But in easy create, AWS will show you the best practice configurations. You can see here engine options. Aurora is there, MariaDB, MySQL, Postgres, Oracle. These are all database engines which you have to which you want to use. So if your company is using Oracle or MySQL as their database, then in AWS also you can use those same database for RDS. Am I clear, guys? Up to this? Does anyone have? Okay. Next, okay, read replicas. So let me tell, my application is running and there's a lot of traffic in my application and everyone is trying to read my database. So at that time, the workload on my database will be a lot higher and there might be some performance issues in my database. If let's say hundreds or thousands of people are accessing my database at the same time, they're trying to read some data from the database. There will be a lot of traffic, there will be a lot of performance drop as well. So to manage those performance drops, what we have to do, we can do is we can use read replicas. Read replicas is nothing but like a replication of your main database. So here, this is my RDS database instance. This is my main database. So I'm replicating this database into as a read replica. These two are read replicas of my main database. Okay. So these things will read. These things will be used for reading. It will not be application cannot write information into these databases, but they can use this to read from the database. So now I have an application and you guys are accessing this application. You have to like let's take for example our college portal. You guys need to check your marks or PD doc study materials or all those stuffs. So when you're trying to you guys are trying to read those stuffs, right? You're trying to read those data. So at that time you can you will be reading through these read replicas and stuff. Whenever semester exams get released, semester exam marks get released, a lot of people will be accessing portal, that portal, right? So at that time, you might see some performance drops. Someone might not be able to access those portals. So at that time, if we use these replicas and stuff, so, reading will be faster. So you can read your marks easier. So there will not be any performance drop there. Make sure that you can't. Let me make it clear. Applications can't write into these read replicas. Only you can read from those databases, but you can't write any data into these databases. Okay, you can only write to the main database. As you can see, it's already clearly mentioned here. Application writes data to the main database, and it can read from all those databases, replicas and main database as well. And it is mentioned here async. This is asynchronous replication. What asynchronous means is now my application is writing some data into this main database. It will not be reflected immediately into the read replica models. It will take some time. There will be some application lag. There will be some time constraints between this and this. So users might not get the latest data on time. There will be some time constraints in there. My application is writing a mark into the main database, but that mark will not be reflected into this read replicas as soon as it is written there. There will be some issues. Okay, am I clear up to this? Okay. So for read replicas, you can use up to 15 read replicas. These 15 read replicas is for not for all those search engine database engines, only for certain things. Let's say here, if you see this document here, you can see Amazon RDS for MySQL for MySQL for Postgres SQL and MariaDB and SQL servers allows you to add up to 15 read replicas to each database instance. But for Oracle, it allows only up to 5 read replicas. So you can have for Oracle, you can have up to 5 read replicas for your application. But whereas for other search engines, I mean other database engines, you can have up to 15 read replicas. And you can deploy these read replicas across within the same availability zone, across the availability zone, across regions as well. Replication is async, so it reads are eventually consistent. Read replicas can be promoted to their own database. So let's say this is my read replica, and if something happens to my main database, if there is a network issue, if there is availability zone is destroyed, or some natural disaster has happened, during failover, I can convert my read replica into my main database. I will promote my replica into their own database, and the application must be updated the connection string. What this means is you have to connect your application and read replica manually using a connection string. That is endpoint. You have to connect it using endpoints and stuff. Am I clear up to this? Can I move to the next? Guys, it will be good if you guys respond to me. I'm not sure if you are able to understand what I'm saying. At least thumbs up. If you have any doubts, unmute
They
and you
are
can
giving
ask.
thumbs up. Da. Move to the next topic.
Okay. Next, we have read replicas use cases. So, what it is used for? So here there is an example here. There is a production application and a reporting application. In my production application reads and writes data into my main database. There is a reporting application that needs to collect information from the database, and it will like do some analytics and all those stuff. It's mentioned here, right? Your production database that is taking a normal road. Here you want to run reporting application to run some analytics. I want to run some analytics on my database with the data collected from my production application. So if both my production application, my reporting application reads data from database, there might be some performance issues for my production application. So at that time, I can create a read replica for my main database, and I can reporting application will read data from my replica, and it will do some analytics with that data. So it will not my reporting application will not affect the performance of a production application. They both read data from different databases. The production application is unaffected, and read replicas are used for select read only. You can only read from the database. You cannot insert, update, or delete. That's clearly mentioned here, as you can see here. Read replicas are used for select equal to read only kind of statements, are not for insert, update, and delete. Next, we are seeing about read replicas network cost. So basically in AWS, when you are sending data from one availability zone to another availability zone, there is a cost. There will be cost incurring in your account. So if I want to send my data up, my data from one from this availability zone to the next availability zone, I have to pay some cost for AWS. But in read replicas, that doesn't happen. In read replicas, if you are in the same region, within same region, if you're in different availability zones, there is no need to pay, it's free. But if you're in different regions, then you have to pay. This is mentioned here, same region, different availability zones, that it's free. But in different regions, you have to pay cost. Cross regions is for cost, but in same region, it's free. Okay. Next, we have seen about read replicas till now. Let's see about multi-availability zone. So multi-availability zone is for disaster recovery. Application will not read any data from this secondary database. This secondary database is on standby until there is some failover in my main database. This secondary database will not do anything. It will just remain silent until there is some incident that is occurring in my main database. Like say my main database got as a network shortage, or my availability zone got destroyed, or my data center got destroyed, something like that. Then at that time, my secondary database will come for rescue. Like my secondary database will act as my primary database, and my application will read and write data to my secondary database. It is synchronous application. We have until now we have seen about asynchronous, but it's synchronous. What synchronous means is data is reflected on time. So every time my application writes data to my main database, it is immediately reflect. It will immediately reflect to my secondary database. There is no time lag here. They both are consistent. They both remain the same at all times. Okay. And one DNS name. What this one DNS name automatic failover means is as soon as my main database is destroyed, or as there is something wrong with my main database, this one DNS name will let's say will change my endpoint to the secondary database. My main database and my secondary database, until now my application will be accessing this main database. But as soon as it destructs, how will it convert to the secondary database? At that time, one DNS name will come into play, and it will change the DNS endpoint name into secondary database. So now my application will access the secondary database and not the first primary database. Am I clear? Failovers, when failovers happens, let's say for loss of availability zone, loss of network, storage failure, and here there is no manual intervention needed to um, change my database. It all happens automatically. As soon as my primary database gets failed, it will automatically convert to secondary database. That will be taken care of one DNS name or this one. There is no need to change anything manually here, and not used for scaling. This is not used for scaling purpose. It is only used for disaster recovery purpose. And okay, so my let's say RDS from single availability zone to multiple availability zone, zero downtime operation. Okay, so now there is a database in my from one in my okay, let's say I have a database in an availability zone, and now I want to modify something, or I want to move data from that database to another database, which is and I want to create that database in another availability zone. So what I do is okay, I will take a snapshot of my primary database. You know what snapshot is, right? Snapshot is used for backup purposes. Like it will capture all your data, all your modifications on all those stuffs up to date. நீங்க என்னெல்லாம் பண்ணிருக்கீங்களோ it will capture all those stuffs, and you can use that to restore something again. It's used for backup purpose. So I take a backup. I take a snapshot of my primary database. I come to another availability zone and I restore that snapshot. So now I have a new database in my another availability zone with the same date, same modifications and same data and all those stuff. So for zero downtime operations, no need to. Okay. So now I want to modify my primary database. So this is my primary database, and I want to modify this database. Let's say I want to change some configurations. I want to change the amount of storage is allocated as OS or something like that. So I want to modify this. So when I modify this, there will be some performance drop. There will be some, maybe I need to stop my database. But what can I do to not stop the database? And the database is stop panama. How can I modify that database? So we are going to see that zero downtime operations. No need to stop. Just click on modify. So we are going to click modify, and we are going to modify our database. We take a snapshot before modifying. So we take a snapshot. We come to another availability zone. We restore that database, and we are establishing a synchronous replication here. Synchronous replication is why we are using synchronous replication here is for the purpose that after taking snapshot also there might be some data written into my main database. So those data should be reflected to my secondary database as well, standby database. So for that purpose, we are using synchronous replication here. You can see what happens here now. A snapshot is taken. Now I'm taking a snapshot. I'm coming to my new availability zone. I'm restoring my new database with a snapshot. Synchronization is established between these two databases. So are you clear about this workflow here? Does anyone have any doubt about this workflow here? Okay. See guys, if you have any doubt, feel free to ask me. Okay, sure. This is the last part of the topic here, RDS custom. So first, at the start of the course, I mentioned you guys, RDS is a managed service. The AWS will take care of all those OS provisioning and updates and all backups, all those stuff, right? So in now I don't want AWS to do that. I want to do it myself. I want to do some configurations, do some modifications in those things. I want to modify something in the OS. I want to do some application, something like that. So at that time, you can use RDS custom. Let me make it clear. There is normal RDS, that standard RDS that will be managed by AWS, and there is RDS custom, which you have to manage. I mean, you have to provision all those configurations and stuff manually. This is only used for Oracle and Microsoft SQL, not for Postgres and MariaDB at all. We can't use RDS custom for those. RDS custom is only used for Oracle and Microsoft SQL. Database with OS and database customization. You can customize your OS and databases. RDS automate setup. So this is normal RDS. Okay, this one mentions the normal standard RDS we have seen until now. automate setup, operation, and scaling of database in AWS. But custom, when it comes to custom access to the underlying database and OS, you have access to the underlying database and OS. In normal RDS, you don't have you don't have those access to access. It will all those access are is maintained by AWS. But in custom, you have those access to maintain those data, access those underlying database and OS. You can change that OS to whatever you need. You can customize that OS. You can configure settings, install patches. In normal RDS, AWS takes care of all these patches, native features, and all. But in custom, you can manually install patches. You can update. You can enable native features and access underlying EC2 instance using. So here you can access in a normal RDS. There is no SSH into. We can't do SSH into our database, but here you can. Okay. And automation mode. You can as I told you already, RDS is an automated service. Like you can, AWS will automatically take backups and store those data backups, take snapshots at time to time. Mm, wait a minute. How to handle patches and updates? Okay, the patches and updates. Let's say, um, like when you're creating your database, there will be some things like configurations and stuff. Okay, you have to install that post. If you're using Postgres or MySQL, you have to have that installed in your application or in your system, and you have to update those stuffs for those let me say packages and all those stuffs. உங்களுக்கு என்ன தேவை, என்னெல்லாம் தேவையோ, எந்த வெர்ஷன் தேவையோ. Here you can see. Now if I use MySQL, there's an engine version and all those stuff. You can update those things manually. You can use whatever versions you want. If you want to update it in middle like that, you can do all those stuffs. Okay. Next, okay. So I told RDS will take care of all those customization and backups automatically. Right? No, you can also deactivate that automation purpose. I don't want AWS to take a backup automatically from time to time. I will set my, I will take my own data backups. Then you can deactivate that automation mode to perform your customization. Better to take a snapshot before. And what this means is, like before customizing your database, before modifying your database, it is always better to take a snapshot. It's like a best practice. Okay. எது பண்றதுக்கு முன்னாடியும் எதுக்கும் ஒரு வாட்டி லைக் ஒரு சேஃப்டி பர்பஸ் ஜஸ்ட் டேக் அ பேக்கப். லெட்ஸ் சே I'm modifying something and by mistake I modified a different thing than what I intended to do, and my database got failover or something happens and my database gets destroyed, then my data will be lost. So at that time I can use a snapshot to restore my data. So before doing anything, before playing with your database, before modifying your database, make sure you always take a snapshot. Make sure you always have a backup before customizing your database. This is a best practice for our database. And RDS versus RDS custom. RDS is an entire database, and OS is managed. In RDS, the entire database and OS is managed by AWS, but in custom, we will manage it. Full access, full admin access to the underlying OS and database. You will have all the access to the OS and database. Until now, is everyone clear? Does anyone have any doubt? Okay.
So the session is over, Ritik. Ritik?
I think, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, okay. So if anyone have doubts, you can ask Soundarya, me, and Ritik, okay? So in the message section, we
Okay, guys, the session is over. If you have any doubts, you can ask. can ask me or just do and make sure you do all those tasks you did today and mention our pep group, uh, DevOps pep and tag your mentors as well. And make sure you mention the steps clearly, step by step of what you did and what you learned from this session. Okay.
So guys, if you have any doubts, you can ask me, Soundarya, and Ritik. Okay. You have to complete the task within today. Okay. So if you don't have any doubts, you can leave. And make sure you have copied the LinkedIn ID. I will
Attendance
share
problem.
the Nara.
Just a minute, guys. I will check. Wait.
Yeah.
Nandan call sound here.
Yeah. 1 minute.
கேக்குதா